So I would like to open up the work session for the Budget Committee on January 9th, 2019 with a roll call.
Betsy Coburn.
Brian Winslow.
Tom Chase.
Dan McNally.
Grace Mattern.
Betty Smith.
Hal Kreider.
Ted Wilkinson.
Michael Moore. Eric Buckland.
Brett Hall.
Mike Jobin.
Linda Smith.
Susan Austin.
Bob Young.
Scott Breyer.
And Ginger Dole. So just for members of the public that are here, we have just a couple last articles that we have to attend to during our work session, and at 7 o'clock we'll start the public session. So, committee members, we need to vote still on Article 8. That's the expendable trust fund deposits.
So if you want, I'll read it and tell you the amounts. Article 8, expendable trust fund deposits. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $40,886 to be placed in the following existing expendable trust funds created under RSA 31:19A. These amounts represent the amount of user fees deposited into the general fund in 2018 for these purposes, and the appropriation shall be funded by withdrawal of the sum from the unexpended fund balance as of December 31st, 2018. So $19,059 will be going into the cable expendable trust fund. $400 will be going into the cemetery expendable trust fund, and $21,427 will be going into the transfer station expendable trust fund. So I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Scott moved, Tom seconded. Any discussion? Okay.
Is that, should there be 2 zeros after the period in the dollar amount? Because otherwise, I'm saying, why do they have the period but not 2 zeros following?
Shortcut.
Saving ink?
They don't have the sense on any of the other ones either.
Yeah.
So
Is that true?
So it looks like.
Well, it's just 00. There's no cents. There's
Sure.
but there is the 00.
Well, then take the period out.
Significant digits.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none. The roll call. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes?
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes, so it is 15-0. The last article we need to attend to is Article 14.
Well, actually, we probably should talk about Article 10 because we made a change to it.
Oh,
And you have no vote on Article 12.
that's
either.
right, because of the change in the verbiage, that's right.
Okay, so on Article 10, what we did, well, the Budget Committee already approved this, but I did go back and at the Selectmen's meeting, and this will have no tax impact. So I'd like to, if possible, correct we're actually going asked to amend this to take the lease payment by withdrawing $26,106 from the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve. So we have enough money in there to make the first year lease payment, so they'll have no tax impact.
Okay.
There's probably enough in there to make the first 2 lease payments. So that's where the money for that. So I would move that we amend that article to add that additional language.
Second.
Motion for reconsideration? Oh, motion for reconsideration. Well, isn't it, no, when I'm not, I'm saying to.
You've already voted on it.
This one off and then puts a new one on.
All right.
Right. So you make
So I'll make a
a motion to
motion.
reconsider.
Should I?
Second?
Dan seconded that. Any discussion on reconsideration? Because we have to agree to reconsider.
Sorry, I thought I seconded it after he said, but that's okay, no problem.
We'll get you on the next one.
Dibs. Very competitive.
Okay, let's see, I gotta put my articles down here so I know which ones we voted on. All right, so this is reconsider 10. Okay, if there's no further discussion, vote, this is a vote to reconsider. If you want to reconsider it, you say yes. If you don't, you say no. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes?
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. So we are reconsidering number 10. You've heard the new language.
You want me to reread the whole thing or just?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So now the warrant article, Article 10, highway dump truck lease is going to read as follows. See if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 7-year lease purchase agreement for $161,670 for the purpose of leasing a new highway dump truck and to raise and appropriate an amount of $26,106 for the first year's lease payment by withdrawing $26,106 from the highway equipment capital reserve. This lease agreement contains an escape clause.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on Article 10? Hal?
I just want to double check, Scott. What you're saying is you think we have enough money?
Oh, I don't think there's like $60,000 in there.
Okay, so at least
Probably enough
2
in there for
years.
2 payments.
Okay.
And we are still putting another 18,000 in there.
Yeah, but that's
So-
also for other things too, correct? Like,
It's for highway equipment. I mean, technically, we could use it to pay for the backhoe too.
yeah,
We did it though.
yeah, we're paying that separate. Okay, good.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's take a vote. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes?
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. So 15-0 for the revised language.
And now we do have an amount for Article 14, so I'll read the article with the amount in there. See, Article 14, Lagoon Maintenance and Repair Expendable Trust Fund. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $14,625 to be placed in the Lagoon Maintenance and Repair Expendable Trust Fund and to fund this appropriation by authorizing the withdrawal of that amount from the Lagoon Special Revenue Fund held by the Northwood Treasurer, and appropriation shall be funded by a withdrawal of the sum from the unexpended fund balance of December 31st, 2018. Moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And Betty seconded. This was recommended 3-0 by the selectmen. Do we have any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we shall vote. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob? Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, so 15-0. So we should change the Budget Committee number to 15-0 on Article 10.
Okay.
So when we, selectmen actually get close to it.
Article 12, you have no numbers, but it was 13.
Article 12.
You have no numbers.
Oh, but it was 13-0. Linda, could you make sure they get that for Article, please?
Yes. 12, I don't know,
Yeah, that was 13-0, but the name was, thank you, Bob.
13-0.
See, I started going through all of these and writing them down, and then when I saw they were there, I stopped. I didn't get it. Is that the only one, Bob, that you
I'm
have?
looking through now, it appears to be the only one. Looks good.
Yep.
It's 13-0.
Number 12 is 13-0.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 3 doesn't have a vote on it.
Oh, we gotta do that one.
Number 3.
Oh, you forgot to put, we voted on that, it was 12 to
It
0.
was 12-0.
Yeah, we did that, that one meeting when we just did that.
Right.
That
January
needs to
3rd.
be added.
Is the dollar figure correct? Because I
Yeah.
remember it is 975.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
it should be 5,975,000.
You do everything from memory. Good catch.
It is 5,975. That's what we.
Well, yeah, that's what, I know that's what we approved, that's just,
And where's my old one?
I put it in here.
So do I. Somewhere here. My original warrant. There it is. Yeah, 5,975 was the amount we voted on.
Yeah.
So that just needs to be
updated.
updated, that number.
Oh, I forgot to say this there. Yeah, it probably should be updated for the public hearing.
Just
I
enough for
can
the,
do it if you send it.
just enough
Word
for
record?
the public,
don't have the
Sandy. I
code.
don't know that we necessarily need one for that 5,000. We've written in the amount, so. But for the public,
You
we
just
should
print out
have
the
one.
one page or something.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put the other votes in there too, that you did tonight. and I'll-
Oh, okay.
Hey, hold on, Sandy, did we have a vote for number 5?
No? Because it's a language change. It has
The
nothing to
language
do with
change, it's
budget.
not a money, yeah, we just, you change it to allow the selectmen to be the agent.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Tom.
I think there's a typo in Article 10 where it refers to the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve. And I think the word fund should be in that article as it is, for example, down in Article 14 where it talks about the Lagoon Special Revenue Fund.
Okay, I'm gonna go mention that to her when we split.
I can do that, Ginger.
All right.
Ginger,
Ginger.
I can do that for you.
I'm sorry?
I can do that.
Oh, okay.
And
You just don't want me to get up and move around.
It's good for
And
you.
if I could just say something before I go in
Absolutely.
there. I did check with the town clerk yesterday at 4 o'clock, and she said there were no petition warrant articles. I'm assuming none were presented to the Board of Selectmen last night.
I didn't
Well,
get
5
it.
o'clock was the deadline anyway, so. 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock?
Is it
Plus, it's like
4?
the first year.
First year.
First year.
Maybe they're on any of the school.
The natives are not restless tonight.
They are not.
Sorry, it's amazing.
We gave,
I've got everything.
the selectmen gave them something else to get rid of instead of a petition article, so.
Some articles have a .00 and others do not. Does that need to be consistent?
They should be consistent, but as long as they have the whole dollar amount.
They've got the numeric number as well as the written number.
It should be then.
So those should be, okay.
It's just some of them say,
And-
some of them have no .00 and
Yeah.
others have.
Right.
We probably, I should say probably should just
Northwood.
do one or the other.
And I'm sure that the selectmen are going to be fixing those little,
But what it generally
Which is
happens,
before it gets
when
posted?
before it goes to town meeting, it goes before DRA and town council to check the final version. So they'll say, oh, you should do this and that.
Okay, so since we have a few minutes, where's my other list? Yeah.
I didn't do a roll of a report on absences.
No, I dug right into the work session.
I
I
know you
shall
did.
do that momentarily.
Of course.
Just to
Be official.
focused on work at hand.
So we voted on 8 and 14, good there. So for the record, everyone is here. We did receive notice from Joe McCaffrey that he was unable to make it this evening. So he's the only individual that's not here this evening. For committee members, a couple of quick notes. We do have the MS 737s here this evening for Northwood Cove, for Gulf Village, for the Water District, as well as the town. So as we're doing them, we're going to be passing them around to be signed so that we don't have to do them another night. So until you have signed 4 of them, don't leave. Okay?
With your pen, right?
With the
Yeah,
special pen,
and
too.
I'm going to send my pen around. Let me make sure I have enough ink in.
What's an MS 757 form?
Yeah, it's the state reporting form.
And we all have to sign it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the
And everybody has put 2 signature sheets on it so that there's enough room for everybody to be able to
Okay.
sign it. In years past, there weren't always enough lines, and our committee has expanded.
Well, they changed it too. You print your name and then you sign your name.
Okay.
A little different.
Thank you.
Yes.
Like mushrooms. 2 examples of bad penmanship.
When you get that back,
In
You want to
case
see if you can get it right.
that's a signature sheet, something you don't want to miss.
Duly noted.
That's what I was going to do.
Oh.
Through the community development finance authority, there's certain criteria that set forth, and they're driven much more by counties than individual towns. So we here in
Just these
Washington
documents is the wonderful
penalized because of the rest of the document in terms of the median area income would be HUD's screen and HUD's group, whereas right next door, cheek to jowl, Epsom, and I'm guessing it's probably
Really?
to Northwood, which is probably Valley and whatever.
Basically giving them the whole thing.
Right, just like all the county lines, so they have higher set point scoring for the town.
This next
Very different under the U.S. Department of Agriculture, rural development.
If we're gonna read something, let's
Grant
go.
revenues of their first
Should I put that one on
Baby
top?
shower this weekend, and I'm trying to make 200 needles, and I'm not having the time.
population has to be initially least less than 22,000.
Onesies to decorate. I thought I would knit the baby shower, but then all these onesies out. You were at the meeting
Sliding scale.
Oh, I was here.
Smaller
Yeah,
and
I
smaller.
had to leave decorating on the base.
Down to if you're application for 5,500, you get
All about my knitting.
our population.
That would be a huge help.
You left the
4,400, so
You left the
doing well
Firework half
on
that.
the
Here, this one.
I asked her for that the other day.
tons.
Okay, committee members, I just have one other quick announcement before Linda comes out with the updated warrant for, with the numbers on it for our public. Tomorrow night, regular time, 7 o'clock, we'll have the school's public hearing. If I remember correctly, there's only 5 articles?
If I remember correctly.
5 or 6. So tomorrow night, we should be able to go home a little earlier than we will this evening.
I don't need any more paper.
Just for the public, Linda, please. Thank you.
This is something.
So if the town votes, get the 60%, I'll lead, go to volunteer, I'll put the application together. I'll know up in Conway to do the east side of the state. USDA, their geographical divide is 993. You go to a different office in Concord. West is 993, east is 993.
Yeah, and I'll get
It's
that.
up in Conway, but that's just, anyway, Dave, $500,000, we absolutely qualify for it in all ways. And so,
I'm not an
strong
officer.
application. Who the hell knows?
I will, I'm not even
So-called farm bill, actually wasn't passed. Asking for himself, there's money still in the pipeline, so there's no problem there, current.
I'm married to a Democrat.
So it's nowhere close to 100%.
Oh, man, he's went home being who he is and started making the chart, looking at other towns, looking at the citizens, the equalized citizen valuation, town number of citizens into total property value, and what that is, and who've done safety calculations, and how much their per square footage cost was. And the most recent ones you could find in 2017, we called a good friend of ours, who's one of the principals in Milestone Construction, to ask him what would the percentage increase be per year since 2017. So, and then he
So
found
that's what it do, it wouldn't go against
apparently
one
it took them
and
years to get
reduce.
these passed in. There were taxpayers who
You
had
don't
to
spend it all
charge
before it
for
goes to reduce the,
He thinks there needs to
Well,
be a chart
they
like
will
that.
recalculate, typically the way it's done is they'll recalculate.
So that people can see, is this expensive for our town or not?
I guess he's going through the mechanism.
He hadn't finished yet.
And so they,
I
they'll
think when
reset the
he
payment.
figures it out, he will put it somewhere.
They'll adjust your payment based
Good idea.
escrow or whatever. So you reduce the
Thank you, Linda.
outstanding. Typically, with a mortgage, you often would have
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I would like to close the Budget Committee's work session and open the public hearing for the town's proposed budget as approved by the Budget Committee. I believe, public, you all have the new warrant that Linda just passed out? Okay. So a couple of quick notes before we get started. As you're looking through, you're going to notice differences in the numbers on the votes. Some of them will be 12-0, some will be 15-0. We actually met on 4 different occasions to do the town's budget. December 1st was our major Saturday. December 12th, we enacted some additional business. January 3rd, and as you were all sitting here tonight, you heard us review and approve the last 2 articles. So you're going to see differences in numbers as far as what the Budget Committee vote is, and that's why. So what I'm going to do, I just want to remind Budget Committee members, this is the public's hearing, so the public's opportunity to ask questions, make comments, that kind of thing. I'm going to read each of the articles and ask if there are any public comments. And if so, please step up to the mic. So getting started, Article number 2, operating budget. Shall the town raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session, for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $3,760,658. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $616,815, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, sections 10 and 16, to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Tax impact, 24 cents. Majority vote is required. It was recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 12-0. Do we have any questions from the public? Mr. Valencourt? Please state your name just for our recording secretaries.
Jim Valencourt, 34 Cove Way.
Thank you.
Just to clarify a point again about the tax impact of the budget. That's the tax impact of the increased over last year. It's not the
Correct.
tax impact of the budget.
Correct. We have always posted just the change in whether it be up or down.
Yes, I
So
understand.
that is, in this
It's
case,
different
it's an increase. Yes.
as we've gone through many years. That's just different than all the other warrant articles, which are really their tax impact.
Correct. Correct.
So the second question is, of three, is there a plan about how to spend this money? Well, so I do a personal budget for my family, and we
Right.
say, well, we're going to replace the back deck. We got to have a root canal. We got to buy a new car. We're going to paint the living room, and we know what those expenses are, and that's how we're going to spend the money. So, is there a plan about how to spend this money, or is this another just keep the lights on budget?
There is, there's a detailed budget that makes up that number that's available to the public, and that'll give you an idea of where we plan to spend the money within the departments and so forth, the spending plan for the year.
But it doesn't spell out the strategic intent. This is an operational budget. I could go look at a line item, which you could move as soon as it's passed.
This is an operating budget this does have, yeah, I guess to answer your question, we typically put the cost of operating the town in there. This is not any increase. I mean, there's increases for if somebody's going to get an increase in their salary or something, but there's no extras in here that there's no project plans. I will say that we're planning as far as roads this year. We're going to do finish Sherman Hill Road, Tasker Hill, and Ridge Road is what's on the plan to do this year for road construction. But other than that, this is a maintenance budget. There's no bells and whistles are here or any unnecessary increases in here, just what it costs to run the town next year.
It is strictly the operating budget for the town. So, as you will note, there are numerous warrant articles here that we're going to be going through. So there's a warrant article for some additional road construction money. There's a warrant article for the facilities committee. And when we get to that, then I can tell you what was presented to the budget committee as to how they're going to, what their plans are for spending that amount of money.
Okay, so the four roads that he talked about, those are in the budget, or those are in the warrant article to do the paving on those roads?
If you look at the paving line in the budget, because of, this is what the selectmen have been doing over the last, because of SB2, we've been kind of keeping the budget level funded and telling the people the additional monies to do with road work. If you want us to do all three roads, you're going to have to fund this additional money here, but if you want to keep spending the way we are spending, then just stick with the operating budget. You'd vote no on the additional funding in the warrant article.
Okay, so the other thing I heard is that one of the strategic intents in this budget is to do a pay increase for town employees.
There's a wage study has been approved by the selectmen yet, but typically every year, unless somebody had totally, there's a performance evaluation done, and if anybody that gets a satisfactory performance evaluation gets a pay increase of one step if it's still available within their step range.
So is the wage study already factored into the budget, or is that going to have to come out of other places in the budget to fund it?
We have not accepted the wage study officially, so the numbers in here are based on the current wages that are in that old wage plan.
Okay, so they would be the step. What's in here is the step.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. My third question, Madam Chair, is there's no page numbers on this budget, so I need you to go to the third to last page, the solid waste. It's like 3 pages. It's the back of the third page from the end.
after they can.
Well, there's no page number.
Okay, yeah.
We can go by numbers.
Yeah.
What kind of analysis did the budget committee do to come up with this $111,000? Because
We don't do an analysis as far as that goes. We rely on department heads and the Board of Selectmen in this particular case to let us know what they anticipate they're going to need for any line that's in the operating budget. Justify it if there appears to be some significant difference, up or down. You know, if you want $1,500, but you only spent $600, why do you still need $1,500? You know, those types of things. This was very much within what had been allocated the past couple of years, as well as what had been spent the last couple of years. There is an increase, obviously. As I understand it personally, the town has gotten larger. There's additional trash that needs to be removed from the transfer station. I don't want to speak for the committee necessarily, but we didn't ask any questions about it because it appeared to be in line.
So we don't know whether it is indeed increased volume of solid waste that we have to dispose of, or it's increased cost in getting rid of the solid waste.
We did ask
We
questions
did.
about this. I did make a motion on
Then
it.
I'm gonna refresh
Can I
my
touch
memory.
upon it a little bit? I'll just try to help. So if you look at all the waste, the transfer station lines combined, the prices are pretty close to what we spent last year. What is happening now is, you know, currently there's not a real strong recycling market, like your plastics and so forth. There's not. I'm not saying there won't be or there isn't, but right now we are not getting any money for plastics. So what happens is if you look at the three lines, we'll probably end up moving some money between the lines during the year to supplement or reduce based on where more trash is coming in. But most of the trash is like refuge, and sometimes if the bins get filled up to the maximum, the compactors, we have to put it into the furniture bin because we're out of space. So what happens, just because of the space issues, we're forced to put it in with the furniture.
Yeah, see, that's how questions 2 and 3 tie together tonight, is that I'm trying to understand if the town has plans in the budget to do things. And this is one of the things, because the solid waste disposal is a huge issue nationally. It's even an issue around us. If you've been paying attention to what's going on around in the towns, even in the newspaper, they are starting to cut back. They only take 1s and 2 plastics. Okay, they got to be clean. They've started to put a town employee between residents and the recyclables. So you put
but there's no market right now for the plastics.
Well, it's funny because other towns are doing that.
Okay, but
they've
not
cut back.
making it.
But they've cut back. True, I agree with you.
They're not making any money on it.
They cut back to 1s and 2s.
Okay.
Okay, your milk jugs and your laundry detergent bottles, 1s and 2s. And so there's no plan to change what we're doing at the transfer station in this budget.
No. We're gonna
Okay.
keep doing what we're doing.
And so the last sub-question of this, and then I'm done, is we budgeted $45,000 for tipping. We spent $90,000.
Yeah.
But we're only increasing it by $15,000. Now, I agree with you. The bottom line, $111,000, is probably going to cover it because it's the same as this year. But the ratio in between, I'm trying to understand if we understand why our tipping fees are so much higher.
I can go back and find that out. Some of it has to do. Let's see the other one.
Yeah, you told us before.
And so Lamprey, Lamprey's kind of took away there's no longer a truck, and we used to do all our removal with the Lamprey, had a truck that we all shared.
That's hauling.
That's gone.
That's hauling.
All right, I'm just letting you know some of the changes. So Lamprey's kind of defunct now. So we had to go out and hire our own hauler So some of the ways, last year, we had to move some of the money around in the budget, but if you look at the whole, all I'm trying to say is, if you look at the transfer station as a whole, the spending's gonna be about the same.
No, I totally agree with that. I'm trying to understand the dynamics of what are going on with our expensive solid waste, because it's a huge issue for every town in America.
I'll be honest, I don't have those answers for you tonight, Mr. Valencourt.
Because I spent 4 hours poring over town invoices and pulling them together. And I can tell you that if you do that, what you'll find is that Joe's calendar will tell you that they pulled a load, the hauler will say it takes a load, and then Lamprey will say, we didn't receive anything. Or there are other days when Joe says we didn't take anything, the hauler said we took something, Lamprey says we didn't receive anything. And then on other days when the hauler said we didn't take anything, but Lamprey said we received it. It's really hard, even using the invoices, to figure out what's going on there, or it's hard for me anyway. So I was trying to determine if there was any kind of analysis that was done here that helped us understand where we're spending $111,000.
Not to the level of detail I think you're expecting.
Okay, cool. Thank you for your time.
Welcome. Are there any other questions on Article number 2? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to Article 3. The Northwood Safety Complex, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,975,000 for the public safety complex. There is no tax impact in 2019. The tax impact in 2020 is estimated at $1.18. This requires a 3/5 vote, recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 12-0. Are there any questions from the public on this article? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to Article 4, land purchase for the Northwood Safety Complex. In case Article number 3 fails, will the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $229,900 for the purchase of land located at 635 First New Hampshire Turnpike, consisting of 6.91 acres plus or minus, for the future placement of the public safety complex? Tax impact, 49 cents. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee 15-0. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Valencourt?
You want me to say Jim Valencourt again?
No, I announced
I do have a question about 3, but it relates to 4, so I waited until 4 because it's a package. I'm trying to understand the package of these 2 warrant articles. Okay? So we got to pass, if we pass 3, we're saying build the building.
Yes.
But we're not going to incur any expense to building the building until 2020.
Well, what's going to happen? I'll let you finish your question.
No, that isn't my question mark.
Okay. So, they'll issue, if this passes, we'll go to the municipal bond bank sometime during the summer.
Of 19.
Of 19.
Okay.
That will allow us to buy the land and break ground on the building sometime in September or early October. The first payment on the bond is not due till June or July of 2020.
Okay, so that's how that happens.
But we can use the bond proceeds to purchase the land.
Okay, so the vote on this warrant article.
That first warrant article is the building, the land, the site development to get the land ready for the building, and approximately $700,000 or $800,000 for contingencies. $800,000 for contingencies.
So in my language, a positive vote on number 3 is basically going to be used by the bond issuers as permission to give the town a bond.
Correct.
Which you can use the money from once they give it to you, but they're not going to ask us to pay it until middle of 2020.
The first payment is not due till, we'll have an amortization schedule, but the first payment is not due till early summer of 2020. And
Okay.
I think it's June, it's either June or July.
So we took out a bond for the school, and we always had a line item for the bond. Is that where the bond will show up in 2020's operating budget?
Correct.
Excellent. Okay. It doesn't pass. 3 doesn't pass, so we've dropped to 4, correct?
Yes.
That's why we have 4.
Yes.
So we want to buy the land.
We're gonna buy the land outright. We're gonna ask that land, 49 cents per tax rate would be per thousand, and that would, we would just go out and buy the land, and we weren't financing the land, it was just a one-time purchase of the land to do it all over. If the first one fails.
Okay. So to help me think this through, in reality, we all have to agree with Mr. Chase, this is something we have to have, or we're just putting ourselves at a huge liability issue. But there are really I have 3 options here. I want the safety complex, so I can vote yes on 3, and I can vote no on 4, it doesn't matter,
Right.
Yes.
right?
That's correct.
But I don't, but that would then put buying the land at danger. If I vote yes on the safety complex and no on the land, and my neighbors all vote no on the safety complex, then I put the land
At risk.
at risk, correct?
So you
Thank
should
All
vote
right.
yes or
So
no.
I could say no safety complex,
Yeah.
but I want you to buy the land because
I need a
we're
place
buying
to-
a lot of stuff this year, so I want to kick it down the road again. That is another option, right? Or no. I don't
Correct.
want anything.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Are there other questions on Article 4? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to Article 7. Budget Committee doesn't go over any articles that don't have anything to do with money. So we skip over some of these. Not many, but some of them. Article 7, Fire Apparatus Lease Purchase. To see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $56,912 for the 5th of 5 yearly payments for the lease purchase of the new pumper truck, and to fund the payment by withdrawing the sum from the Fire Rescue Vehicle Replacement Special Revenue Fund. This lease agreement was approved in 2015 and does not contain an escape clause. There is no tax impact to this. Majority vote is required. It is recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0 and recommended by the Budget Committee 15-0. Are there any questions on this article? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to Article 8, Expendable Trust Fund Deposits. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $40,886 to be placed in the following existing expendable trust funds created under RSA 31:19-A. These amounts represent the amount of user fees deposited in the general fund in 2018 for these purposes, and the appropriation shall be funded by the withdrawal of the sum from the unexpended fund balance as of December 31st, 2018. There is no tax impact. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 15-0. The expendable trust fund amount will be $19,059. The cemetery expendable trust fund amount is $400, and the transfer station expendable trust fund is $21,427. Are there any questions on Article number 8? Mr. Valencourt.
Do I say Jim Valancourt again? Last year the cable was $36,000 we put away. We're only putting away 19. This comes from the user fee on my cable bill. Why is it? It's almost half.
Many people evidently aren't using MetroCast or now Atlantic Broadcasting.
Well, it's the same. I don't know the specific details, but I know that a lot of people are switching over to like satellite TV. Internet TV is available now. You got the Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So there's a lot of other options than traditional cable TV.
Okay. The transfer station. So you just stated my question before that we're having trouble selling our recyclables. That's what this fee is, including the solid waste that I dump in
Well, that's
demolition and.
yeah. This is the money that we do receive.
This is $4,000 more than last year.
Yeah.
But it's not-
What's up, the recyclables or our own personal tipping fees, like the demo and furniture?
I need to see if you can answer that because I'm not specific on, like the, I don't know the answer.
Okay. I can tell you we've had more revenue from NRRA. We've had more revenue from Harding. So I think it's the type of recyclables that we're experiencing at the transfer station, because those two, if you look back, and I know, Jim, you've been working on this, if you look back, you'll see that we're getting more revenue from them.
Okay.
So it might be the steels and the aluminums, the copper. And if I may, Ginger?
Yes.
One of the questions, the cable, part of the problem with that number is we are usually receiving 2 checks from MetroCast a year. In 2018, we've received 1. We don't know when we're going to get the second check, and it may actually, it's obviously going to be in 19 now. My hope, and I can't promise anything, my hope is next year we'll have 3 checks, because usually we get one in December and we haven't. And it could be because of the transition from MetroCast to Atlantic. So next year you may see that being the amount of 3 checks, 1 being due from the end of this year.
Okay, great. Thank you for your time.
Any other questions on Article 8? Okay, seeing none, going on to Article 9, Vested Benefit Expendable Trust Fund Deposit. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Benefit Vested Time Expendable Trust Fund previously established. Tax impact is 2 cents. Majority vote required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee 15-0. Are there any questions? Mr. Valencourt.
Jim Valancourt, I have 2 quick questions here. The first is, what did the auditors say our vested pay liability is?
Sandy, can you take that question?
Yes, the auditors have not audited our 2018 books yet, as you know. But I just did the accrual spreadsheet for them the other day, and it's $156,000.
And what is in the fund now?
Betsy has the sheet, right?
$33,245.62.
And we're going to add 10 to it to make it 43. Good. Thank you very much.
Any other questions on Article number 9? Please, seeing none, moving forward to Article 10. The highway dump truck lease, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 7-year lease purchase agreement for $161,670 for the purpose of leasing a new highway dump truck and to raise an appropriate amount of $26,106 for the first year's lease payment by withdrawing $26,106 from the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve. The lease agreement contains an escape clause. Tax impact is 0. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee 15-0. Are there any questions on Article 10? Seeing none, moving on to Article 11. Highway Equipment Capital Reserve Fund, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $18,500 to be deposited into the previously established Highway Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. Tax impact is 3 cents. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0.
0 to 3. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one.
Looking at the wrong one? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee 15-0. Are there any questions on Article 11? Mr. Valencourt.
Jim Valancourt. Again, this is another one that I have a question on 10, but it's not relevant until we get to 11. Because I'm trying to understand the strategy here, okay? So in 10, we're going to buy a dump truck. And I'm very appreciative of you using the trust funds. Because I've heard people grumble that we save all this money and we never use it. Well, this is why we save it. And so I really appreciate that and thank you. So we're going to take it out of the trust fund
Yep.
for the 5 years, right? 7 years, sorry.
Well, we're gonna, right now, I believe, she's got the list in front of her, but what's her, 60?
68,790.
So there's 68,000 in there, and then if this passes, there'll be another 18,000 in there. So we'll make the plan right now is to take the first year lease payment out of there, and probably the second, and then probably after the second year, we can take a look at it and see, but the idea is to try to make the truck payments out of the trust fund. But our plan is to keep putting the 18,000 away every year. We've been doing that for years now, putting 18,000 away.
Okay, so that we're going to continue that, because that was my other question. It's not going to be enough money, even if you put the 18,000 in to pay for the truck. So you're going to continue in 21, 22, 23?
If you look at previous years, we've always put about 18,000 away into that fund.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I just wanted to understand. The other half of the money, the other $80,000 is going to be required to pay it off, is going to be put in chunks of 18,000.
Yes.
Cool.
Well,
Thank you.
and we might have to adjust that
Understood.
a couple years down the road, but right now, that's the plan.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Any other questions on Article 11? Okay, seeing none, moving on to Article 12. Excuse me. Police Department Capital Reserve Fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,000 to be deposited into the previously established Police Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. Tax impact is 1 cent. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 13-0. Do we have any questions on Article 12? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to Article 13, sorry. Police Department creation of a school resource officer. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $16,994.09, which represents 20% of the total salary and benefits, for the creation of a school resource officer position. This warrant article is contingent upon the passage of a warrant article at the school district that would raise and appropriate the remaining 80%. Tax impact would be 3 cents. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 0-3. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 10-3. Are there any questions on Article 13? Mr. Valencourt? You guys all gave him your questions, right? So that he'd be the only one to get up and talk to us tonight? I'm sorry, go right ahead.
I sat here with you and listened to the discussion about this warrant article. And I think maybe my ears were broken because I didn't really hear an answer from the Board of Selectmen about why they voted in the negative. And that is my question. Why we're going to have the police officer in the summer and on vacation weeks, right? To use to supplement our police department. So getting a new police officer for $17,000 seems like a deal. Plus it protects our children. So I'm trying to understand why you would vote in the negative when the Budget Committee voted in the positive and the school board voted in the positive.
Yeah, we didn't think it was needed.
Yeah, I know. And that was the
I mean, is that your question?
Yeah, that was that was the answer, but that's
It's not an
I'm trying to play polite and professional here, okay? Because that's not an answer.
Okay.
I don't know how else to say it. I'm not trying to be...
Well, it actually, realistically though, you're saying we're getting a police officer for $17,000? Is that your comment?
Yeah.
Okay. You're getting a police, you're still gonna pay for the full police officer, the tax impact is gonna be on the school budget
Agreed.
versus the town. You're still gonna pay for an entire officer. And it's still gonna be, the whole cost of that officer is gonna be on your tax bill. It's just gonna show, some of it's going to show in the school tax rate, and some of it's going to in the town tax rate. When you add it all together, you're still paying for one whole new officer. And the town-
Agreed. And I
the
just say,
position of the town, Board of Selectmen, we did not, I think there's a need for it, actually, I agree with it at a high school, there should be a resource officer, but the Board of Selectmen did not think it's necessary to have a resource officer at the elementary school.
okay, cool, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on Article 13? Okay, seeing none. Article 14, Lagoon Maintenance and Repair Expendable Trust Fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $14,625 to be placed in the Lagoon Maintenance and Repair Expendable Trust Fund, and to fund this appropriation by authorizing the withdrawal of that amount from the Lagoon Special Revenue Fund held by the Northwood Treasurer. And the appropriation shall be funded by the withdrawal of that sum from the unexpended fund balance as of December 31st, 2018. There is no tax impact. The majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee 15-0. Are there any questions on Article 14? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to Article 15, Facilities Committee Expendable Trust Deposit. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $17,750 to be deposited into the Facilities Committee Expendable Trust Fund previously established for the maintenance, improvement, repairs, and replacement of general government buildings. Tax impact is 4 cents. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee 12-0. Are there any questions or comments? Mr. Valencourt.
I'm probably out of order on this one because I'm asking it as a trustee of trust fund. Are we doing this proactively adding to this fund, or do we have a list of projects that we are going to do?
There's a list of
There's a list of projects that we were given.
Thank you.
Could you state your name, please?
Yes, Gail Toby, Young's Crossing. Could you tell us what the list is?
Sure. Yep. What we were given was paving or overlay of the parking lot at the library for $11,000. Food for the prisoners while they're working, $1,950. Painting the exterior of the library, $2,900. There is an additional $1,900 in this, which the library, when they initially presented their request to the Facilities Committee, had looked at 2 different options to deal with the parking lot. One was a complete overlay to eliminate any future problems. The other was seal coating. And the cost of the seal coating was approximately $1,900. When this was put together for the Facilities Committee, that $1,900 was still there. I'm sure that that would come in handy for other projects that need to be done, that come up, that the Facilities Committee would take care of. But those are the items that were presented to the Budget Committee. Are there other questions or comments regarding Article 15? Okay, seeing none. Going on to Article 16, Northwood's 250th Anniversary Expendable Trust. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to be deposited into the 250th Anniversary Expendable Trust Fund to support efforts to recognize the town's 250th anniversary. Tax impact is less than a penny. Majority vote required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee 13-0. Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Article 17, Highway Department backhoe lease purchase. To see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $20,297.79 for the second of 5 yearly payments for the lease purchase of the new backhoe. This lease agreement was approved in 2018 and does contain an escape clause. Tax impact is 4 cents. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 13-0. Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to Article 18, road construction resurfacing. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be used for the construction, reconstruction, and/or resurfacing of town roads and the refurbishing of ditches and culverts as recommended by the Highway Advisory Committee. Tax impact is 21 cents. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 13-0. Do we have any questions or comments? Mr. Valencourt.
When we talked about the operating budget, I asked about plans, and this came up
Correct.
in that discussion. So if I vote no on this warrant article, what am I saying we're not going to be able to do?
Well, I told you the 3 roads.
The 3 roads are in this warrant article.
Which, by the way, there is a road plan that's several years old that we use as a guide to pick the roads we're going to do.
Yes, the 5-year plan that we've been using for 8. I got that one. But I thought that was in the operating budget.
No.
No. Okay, so surprise.
So basically, if you want to do, if this gets voted down, we'll do as much as we can with the money in the operating budget, but we won't. There's definitely not enough money in there to do all 3 of those roads.
Well, I think for deliberative session, I think that's going to be an important distinction to make. Because if you vote yes for the operating budget, this is what we can do. And this is our plan. This is what our strategy is for using the operating budget monies we have in there. Because I did not realize, and I apologize for this not sinking into my thick head, but I didn't realize that this is not extra work that we were doing. Because many years we've talked about this warrant article and we've talked about, well, but we also need to do these extra roads. And so I thought that's what we were funding when we were doing this warrant article until your comment tonight. So I think at deliberative session, it would be extremely helpful if we could understand this is what we want to do. We can do this out of the operating budget. And if you want to do this bottom part, you have to vote yes on the warrant article.
That makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on Article 18? Okay, seeing none. Article 19, Aquatic Invasive Species Prevention Expendable Trust Fund. Name is almost longer than the article. To see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $7,000 to be deposited into the previously established Aquatic Invasive Species Prevention Expendable Trust Fund. Tax impact is 1 cent. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 13-0. Are there any questions on Article 19? Okay. Seeing none, moving on to Article 20. Aquatic Invasive Species Treatment and Control Expendable Trust Fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $12,000 to be deposited into the previously established Aquatic Invasive Species Treatment and Control Expendable Trust Fund. Tax impact is 2 cents. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 13-0. Are there questions on Article 20? Okay, seeing none. Article 21, self-contained breathing apparatus. To see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 5-year lease purchase agreement for $187,700 for the purpose of leasing the fire department's self-contained breathing apparatus equipment, and to raise an appropriate amount of $45,000 for the first year's lease payment. The lease agreement contains an escape clause. Tax impact is 10 cents. Majority vote is required. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 12-0. Are there any questions or comments regarding Article 21? Seeing none, we are done with the town's warrants. Do we have the sheets down that we needed? The others have put 2 sheets on just in case so that everybody's got an opportunity.
When is it coming out?
Right now. I'm so excited.
Okay, just a moment, please. Mr. Valencourt, did you have a question?
We do.
Did the budget committee look at the revenue budget this year?
Yes, we did. We reviewed it based on what they had given us.
Can the public get a copy of that?
Second page from the,
I'm sure you can.
did you make up a second?
I don't know if I've got one right here for you. We can get you one.
Okay, thank you.
Before the end of the evening. Yep.
I not have one, I have it all.
I have plenty of paper here.
I can go print it out, my computer's on.
I mean, the thing is, and you don't need
I
this
don't
because you've
have the
got
document, yeah.
just the front page is all we need, page 1.
Anticipated revenue, the other 2019.
Yeah, and I have 2 copies.
Okay, so committee members, I'm passing around the town signature form right now along with my very special pen.
Noted.
So it needs to continue coming so it comes back to me. While we're passing this around, we still have this evening the public hearings for our 3 village districts that we're going to be doing. Beginning with the water district.
Don't give them any. There's no public here, looks like it.
We still are required to do it.
Do we ask for comments?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think anyone's from...
exactly.
Pretty much.
But the formality is that we have to do it.
Yeah, the minutes will
Great.
reflect that.
Should go right by.
Exactly.
No, nobody
Just-
made any comments.
Exactly.
As
Just
long as Gary doesn't pan to the back, we're safe.
If anybody on the committee didn't bring theirs.
I'm going to take one only because they're going to be
Matter of
numbered
fact,
and I
you can
read them.
overlay crowd noise in
Screw it
there.
up over here.
Position, member,
Seated, look at this point.
chair of public hearings, town.
The only thing that was
Considering using certain kinds of funding from New Hampshire housing for building affordable housing
we can make you
required.
chair, vice
State
chair.
RSA's depending on the fund required. Frequently the case that nobody, or not, I mean, of course, we legally noticed that, but, you know, but we had to do it anyway. And the minutes had to reflect that.
I'm going to get both, in case you run out of room in a second.
Turn to the second page.
Exercise in absurdity, and that
16-0? Okay, I thought there was one absent.
By the time we do it after lunch.
Make sure everybody goes through that.
All right, I mean,
Let me double check my.
it's not a problem because we haven't posted it yet.
Let me just double check.
full public transparency.
Water district.
Anyways.
No, I've got the 4 articles for water district, 16-0, 16-0, 16-0.
Well, I approved the special thing, it's in air gel.
After lunch, we went back and we did those
And the idea here is
did
that
those
you should
before
just
we
collect
went.
as many signatures as possible. Is there some minimum number that have to be generated? from this
But
committee?
Michael was the first one to leave.
Okay, so Article 3 is 16-0. Article 2,
Hopefully you can get in trouble.
so they are 16. That's not a problem. We'll just change those. Thank you.
But You have been on the screen in years past, right? So we would have gone through this exercise last year.
Yeah, and I know some years.
Signatures
not
stick
applying
five
for
and three.
the size
You
of it.
don't really need them
Put 'em in
anymore.
drawer.
Well, you certainly have a big committee now. Put your finger in this big size.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is wonderful.
And pretty soon they're not gonna make you do that.
Okay,
Person, so that she has
Joe
them.
McCaffrey's on the
Getting it
board.
down.
Thank you so much.
Charlie.
They're all
Yeah, Betty has it at the moment.
Kids these days don't even know how to sign their names.
Okay, are my committee members good with me continuing on with the water district while you're signing? Are you good with that? We're good.
Yep.
Or wait until you're done signing?
Oh, no, we can multitask.
All right. Okay, we're gonna multitask here. So, continuing the public hearing with the warrant for the inhabitants of the Village of Northwood Ridge Water District. Article number 2. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $702 for general district expenses. This was recommended by the commissioners, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 12-0. Are there any questions or comments on Article 2? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to Article 3. To see if the district will raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 from water rents to be added to the previously established Water District Expendable Trust for major repairs. Recommended by the Commissioners, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee. There is a correction here, it was 16-0. So for those of you who have a copy of this. Any questions on Article 3? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to Article 4. To see if the district will raise and appropriate the sum of $7,000 to be added to the Water District Expendable Trust Fund for major repairs previously established. This sum to come from the telecommunications tower space rental payments. Recommended by the Commissioners, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 12-0. Does the public have any questions? Seeing none, Article 5. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,000 for the development and application of an asset management plan for the district's infrastructure. $20,000 is to come from an AMP grant from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, and $10,000 to come from the district's expendable trust fund as needed to support the grant match and supplement funds used from the operating budget and in-kind matches expended for asset management plan development. Recommended by the Commissioners, 3-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 16-0. This is another correction for those of you who have copies. Are there any questions from the public on Article 5? Mr. Valencourt?
Just to give them a chance to do it.
So I apologize for intruding on yours, but this one intrigues me because the towns say to vote raise up to, but so you're going to raise $30,000, but yet you have language further down that says you might not need all that $30,000.
Part of that is because it is a matching grant of $40,000. In other words, we're getting $20,000. We have to have the authority to spend.
Just put in.
So this was cleared by DRA. This is what they allowed us to do.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
You have to raise and appropriate it in order to be able to spend it regardless of the funding source.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it's the language as needed further down that threw me off track. Thank you.
Any other questions from the public on Article 5?
Start with the next page.
Okay, seeing none, that ends the public hearing of the Village of Northwood Ridge Water District. And just about ready to sign off on that one. second best pen. That's still got something in it too. Yep, and it's black. I have two pens going around now. I
saw that.
need to get two
I'm
pens
watching closely.
back.
I like that other pen. I was
I liked
tempted.
it too.
Staples is the only place you can buy them. But they are refillable. You can get refills for them. So in the interest of moving things along, I shall donate temporarily 2 pens.
Don't need that.
No.
Okay, so Linda can take this back. Can you give that to her, please? And moving on to that there. So moving on to the Village District of Northwood Cove.
I've never seen stickers in my life.
Clean copy?
You want another one? How many do you want?
No, we're good. It's just said written on the end. Oh, yes. We got plenty. We got 2.
Okay, so the Village District of Northwood Cove. Public has theirs. Article number 2. The operating budget to see if the Northwood Cove Village District will vote to raise and appropriate the Northwood Budget Committee's recommended budget amount of $8,750 for general operations. This article does not include special or individual articles addressed. Majority vote is required. Northwood Budget Committee recommended 16-0. Commissioners recommended 3-0. Tax impact is 92 cents per thousand.
I think I accidentally passed my notes along with the first signature page. I'm just trying
Oh, everything that was with the signature page I just gave to Linda.
somebody to try.
I just put a paper clip on it because I thought that there were 2.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, no big deal.
We'll track them down for you, Michael.
No, I'll get another set. I didn't write them.
Are there any questions from the public on Article 2? Okay, seeing none, moving on to Article 3. To see if the Northwood Cove Village District will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,200 to be added to the Road Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund previously established. Majority vote is required. Budget Committee recommended 16-0. Commissioners recommended 3-0. Estimated tax impact is 44 cents per thousand. Are there any questions on Article 3? Okay. Seeing none, that ends the warrant for the Village District of Northwood Cove. And we've already started that one going around. So we have 1, 2, okay, they're coming. And finally, we have our newest addition, the Gulf Village District of Northwood.
Does anyone else need a copy?
No, we should all still have them from.
I'll take a plain copy.
Okay. Article number 2 for the Village District operating budget. To see if the Gulf Village District will vote to raise and appropriate the Northwood Budget Committee's recommended budget amount of $16,000 for general operations. This article does not include special or individual articles addressed. Majority vote is required. Northwood Budget Committee recommended 16-0. Commissioners recommended 3-0. Estimated tax impact is $1 per thousand. Are there any questions or comments on Article 2 for the Gulf Village District? Seeing none, we will end the Gulf Village District warrant. So that covers all of our warrants. We're signing our forms. So at this point, if there are no other questions or comments from the public, Mr. Valencourt?
Can I ask a revenue question?
You can.
Yeah, I know.
Let the record show it's Jim Valencourt for the last time.
Yes.
Oh, is this the town, for the town?
On page 3, yeah.
Oh, the accountant left.
Yeah. That's what I was afraid of.
So, I don't know if I can answer it, so.
On page 3, we have transfers from special revenue funds, very near the bottom, 39,121. If you look at 2018 actuals, 0. But warrant Article 3 was for 56,912.
Which line are you looking at, Jim?
100, 391, 121,
Yeah.
031.
Okay, so that's the transfer from the ambulance fund.
Yeah. Warrant Article 3 was for 56,912. That passed. So I would expect it to show revenue coming into the town from taxation into that fund.
Well, the revenue's from ambulance billings, but.
Right, and as Selectman Breyer pointed out,
The accountant's gone.
the accountant has left the building, so we will
You should
certainly...
ask that during the town's public.
I didn't have this until just now.
We only
If
gave
you
them the
put
piece of
packet
paper
together
a
so I
minute
can see
ago.
the expenses and the revenue, which impact my taxes greatly. You have to have both those numbers. You can't figure out the tax impact.
Calm down.
As
He has a point.
Well, yeah, but.
Same thing with the school.
I gave him my extra revenue sheets.
There you
Oh,
go.
so you're the trouble.
For some reason, I got 2.
I appreciate your time and patience with me tonight.
What we can do is...
I'll send her an email.
Okay. I'm not sure if it was just an oversight in posting it, or if they've not received that information yet. I don't know what that is.
Until she left.
No, I didn't.
We'll try and get an answer for you as quickly as possible.
I don't get credit for getting it for 5 minutes and finding an empty hole.
No. It buys you some goodwill, but...
You got another pen?
No, I've only got... No, I've only got
That's
2
your pen.
pens.
That was one of the pens. that was
No,
on
it
there.
isn't.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Do we have another one to sign?
Yeah.
We've got at least one more to sign.
Trying to find the
Sign it down right there. Right there.
It's coming,
Waiting for
it's
the right
coming.
pen. This is a really good pen. This is a gel, also refillable, also bought at Staples.
Mine says big.
No, that's not special.
Got to be
enough.
the official pen.
It
has to be anointed
I just
by
threw 2 of those away today.
Okay, so at this point, if there are no other questions or comments from our public, I'm going to close the public hearing and go back into work session. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate your dedication to the process. I will make certain that that's listed here, yes.
Duly noted.
That's my job. Make a copy of these before I leave.
Well, I didn't sign, I don't think I signed that one yet.
Oh, wait a minute. I have that ballot sucker.
Yeah, we've actually got a.
Tomorrow night is our school public hearing.
Oh, no.
Is that the deal?
So the same thing.
Oh, Hal School.
There are no districts.
Keep going on that one. I'll get it straight.
Okay. You're just gonna get it straight.
Do we have to sign stuff tomorrow, too?
Just one for the school tomorrow, which will go 30.
Yep. Okay.
I would anticipate, unless there's a large number of public here, asking lots of questions. There's the other pen. I would anticipate no more than a half hour. There's only
People
5
even
on.
come to this rather
There
than
are
a deliberative session.
Some people come, some people don't. Back a number of years ago, we used to have a public hearing when the selectmen and the school board were presenting the operating budget to the budget committee.
That makes
So that they
sense
could
to
ask
me.
questions.
And then we could hear the questions.
Whatever. What the result of that was many nights in addition to the Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
Because you kept getting interrupted by questions?
yeah, well, because it just, we're going through section by section. just-
Yeah, and I don't mean interruption in a bad
No, I
way,
know
just
what you're saying, but we would have questions, excuse me, on different sections of the budget as we're going through it. I forget, it must be 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, Dan? When did we stop having the,
When SB2 came in.
I'm sorry?
When SB2 happened.
Signatures, I'm sorry.
That's right, we did stop it when SB2 came in.
Okay.
And just because we were only required to hold one, and so we held it at the end. And for a number of years, there was criticism.
Hand them one back.
Thank you. Special. I have to fight to keep these away from my husband, so even though I buy him his own.
So we all done?
No.
What else we all
Gotta sign one more.
Yeah, we've got to continue signing. We were going to go over this tomorrow night, but since we're waiting for the signing to be finished,
Which one will we get?
we've got a number of positions. We got a number of positions coming up for elections. Okay, so Betsy, Hal, Joe McCaffrey, and myself are all up for re-election. You're up for budget this.
No, I was looking at Linda. I thought we looked it up. I thought maybe that was a different board, but I thought...
Planning board, different board.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
on too many.
Sorry.
And there is a 1-year and a 2-year opening,
Planning board's next year.
which currently
Strobel was this year.
Ted and
I sent the town clerk 2 1-year terms. They were both 2020.
No, they're not.
no, John's was 2021. I mean, wait a minute.
Don't you have 3?
John ran again and got elected for 3. So there's a 2-year there.
Did he just get off? No?
He resigned
He
because
had to resign because he was road agent.
He's a
He was
2
appointed
and a
road
1.
agent and there was a conflict.
he was
of interest.
elected in March and he had to resign in, what, October?
Well, then we have more because we have
We have 3.
3 more then.
Me, Ted, and John's replacement.
Total of 6.
Right, so there's 1 more. There's 2 for 1 year. Because of Brian and...
But we've got a 16 board now, so we've got all the positions filled right now.
Yeah, but I'm only until
It's only until the
Correct,
next election.
until
Till
next
the
election.
election.
So
my opening, Ted's opening.
your opening and Ted's opening.
So which one should I sign
Then you have
for?
John's.
I don't know,
When you want.
we got 3 selectment seats coming up, so.
No, no, I'm talking about that. I'm not running for that shit.
All of the positions are filled currently.
That's true, but
We're
the
not
ones
lacking
that filled
anybody.
in-
John's
Oh, John's is
John
empty.
resigned, so that's an empty seat, right?
Which was filled
By
either Ted or Brad.
Oh,
Okay,
It
so
wasn't me.
Dave Ruth
John resigned
resigned.
after John resigned, wait a minute.
Ryan and Dave
John
Bruce.
resigned after both Ted and I came on.
Three people need to be replaced, including beyond the 4.
Right, 7.
There's
You're right.
7 openings.
Yay!
You look like you feel like I did at the last one. Oh, it's such a headache.
How complicated it all gets, oh my God.
I don't think it's a budget committee. I haven't been.
Throw the village districts on.
Yeah.
Are you going to the band?
So you want the dates?
You've got so many days.
Would you tell Joanne and Bob? I'm sorry, we haven't been to see them for so long. David and I are taking turns battling illnesses, and I don't want to go.
I can try to remember that.
Yeah, if you don't, that's fine.
Well, as I just told Jim Valancourt, I go over to the Baileys to tell Bob what he needs to remember from me. So,
I don't need to sign up.
if you're asking me to tell the
I don't know the
Baileys
things to
something,
sign.
the Baileys would have to already know. I
With leftovers,
I'm sorry, but
We've been going to go over for like,
I will tell.
since last week, but I was sick, then David was sick, and then I was sick yesterday.
use it every now and again.
Regrets.
Right. When neither of us is infectious, we will come over. I'm just having my 94-year-old parents are very sensitive about being around people in their 90s.
Guys, so evidently there are 7 spots.
How many spots?
7.
Wow.
4 for 3-year, and we'll figure out what the other 3 are.
What years does John run out?
Well, this is last year's book, so it says it ran out
We
in
can
18.
figure that out later.
So it's 21. So there's 2 that are open for 1 year, and 1 open for 2 years, 4 open for 3 years.
Okay. The sign-up period, for those interested in signing up again, begins Wednesday, January 23rd.
Wednesday, not Monday?
John was elected this past
That's
year.
what I was just told. Wednesday, the 23rd. And goes until Friday, February 1st at 5 p.m.
Got it.
Where do you sign up?
Downstairs with the town clerk,
Savannah?
Savannah. Yep.
So Wednesday, the 23rd. So more than a full
Friday,
week.
is it the
March
2nd?
1st.
Yeah, it is. It's always
Friday,
Wednesday, Friday.
March, excuse me,
February.
February 1st.
February 1st.
Yeah, 2-1.
Oh, it's only a week, a little over a week.
Usually it used to be just a week, so this is more.
Can't leave till next.
No voter suppression here in Northwood.
Okay, so where are we with signing?
Yeah, it's coming. Can I see your book for a minute there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Linda, while you're waiting for the book, is there somebody who knows what the selectmen, the additional selectmen are going to, the 2 new positions will be?
There's a 3, a 2, and a 1.
1, 2, and 3.
So the current select person.
DJ's up, that's a 3-year.
That's a 3-year.
And then one of the new ones is a 2-year, and the other one's a 1-year. And then next year, there's,
The 1 year.
you, it's me.
Right?
And the 1 year.
In the 1 year.
Right.
Okay.
So the first year's 3, second year's 2. And then it's like 1. And
Just
then,
like
and then
the
it's
school board.
2 and 1.
When are you gonna run for governor?
I'd have to quit working for the state.
And he's making way.
I gotta do something in a couple of years.
Did you sign it?
Oh, did I sign?
Well, it's starting to happen.
I got your ambulance question yesterday.
We did.
You can sign it before you run for president.
Yeah, I was just thinking that that's what.
So it has no impact on his tax rate.
I think that came up like a year ago, and Sandy figured out that she had to change it. We thought it was in the capital reserve. and
Shows the murmurs column, comedy column.
Oh, he's gonna love it.
We get it
Cousin
in
has
the house,
dementia, and he said-
I probably
and I'm not-
I read the poetry.
Because it wouldn't.
Probably read another article once a month.
That's not real water.
So people have to sign up for office prior to the deliberative session?
No, you don't sign up for office.
David reads
until-
it on his
well,
phone.
Oh, it gets when's it posted?
That paper on the get it done.
Yep.
What they'll tell you is.
You got a week.
Yeah, it's always the end of January that you sign up for.
Ask the person if they can
Okay.
identify their favorite flavor of ice cream.
Run for selectman, it's not just a job.
It is an adventure.
Are we done?
Been there, done that.
Motion to
Okay,
adjourn?
so, let me just make sure I've got everything covered. We get back tonight, 7 o'clock, tomorrow night rather, 7 o'clock. We'll do the school, and then we should be done. We will talk tomorrow night about a date in April, after elections, reorganization meeting, so Betsy and I will work with Linda and figure out.
We get to finish up this tomorrow night.
So we don't have to be at the deliberative sessions?
You should be, but you don't have to be.
We don't like to sit around the table and tell people things?
Well, we won't, the
Yeah, I'm just
deliberative,
kidding.
yeah, it's not here, but, you know. Okay. Oh, wait, there is, no, we can do that tomorrow night, never mind.
Well, maybe you should do it tonight so we don't forget to appoint you to speak.
Right. In the past, the chair typically will move the operating budgets for both the town and the school. The moderator makes that arrangement. If there are questions regarding what the budget committee did, didn't do, said, didn't say, what have you, in the past, the committee has voted to designate the
Excuse me,
chair.
it's picking up on the microphones.
We're talking about deliberative and who speaks. The budget committee in the past has authorized the chair to be the person to answer any questions that might come up. It doesn't preclude anybody from speaking your thoughts because we're all individual citizens. But if there are specific questions regarding what the budget committee said or did or whatever, in the past I've always made sure that I've had the minutes with me so that I could refer back to the minutes when we discussed a particular department or section or what have you. So I'm looking to see what the will of the committee is, if this is something you would like to continue or if anyone has other ideas.
excellent plan.
Second.
Then we need a motion. Are you making the
I
motion?
move to let our chairperson do all the talking.
I'll second that.
Do it so. Okay,
So
any
that-
discussion about it?
So that's
Yeah.
on the
deliberative.
On the deliberative, if there are questions.
If there are questions pertaining to what the budget committee did or whatever.
Correct. But as budget committee chair, you will.
Move it.
I will
the-
move,
okay,
right, the
done.
operating budget for both town and school.
Thank you.
Correct. That was the part you missed because you guys were talking.
He draws me into these conversations.
Yeah,
Any
right.
further discussion or comments about the motion on the
You could
floor?
pass notes.
Tom?
And as always the case, is my recollection, and if you needed to refer to, for example, your deputy chair here, vice chair, you do, and
Right.
so forth.
We usually have the minutes with us so that we can make reference to those, so that we can read off anything specific should anyone challenge what was said. Dan?
Well, not to, there was already motion on the floor and seconded before this one came up. So when we vote now, are we voting on the first one or the second one?
What, to adjourn?
I didn't recognize the motion to adjourn. I said, whoa, wait a minute.
Motion on the table, you can't not recognize.
I'd like to vote on the current motion to have you be our spokesperson.
Should
Is that
there
a
be
motion?
questions?
I just want to make sure.
No, the motion was already
Expressing my
made for that.
discretion.
which is-
Yes, but it hasn't been voted on.
Yeah, we got to vote.
We haven't voted on it yet. I'm getting there. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Before you do adjournment, where are we at with minutes? Because we didn't finish all of the 12.
Yeah, there were some
Tomorrow
questions
night?
on that.
Right?
Are you,
It
have you
was
guys
just the corrections on,
revised the minutes that, to which you were going to provide the
Yeah, we
definitive?
just got them, yeah.
yes,
I'm
which
gonna
was
look
just
at it.
amending, who made motions
Who
and
made
who seconded.
seconds?
That's what the changes were.
Because we had questioned on the school amount, which is right in my notes and matches the handouts that were given out. We did not.
So you're going to
Finish
provide
that
us
one.
with revised
Yes, yeah.
minutes?
Yeah, we can do
We
that.
did not do that one because it was questionable.
Which one are we talking about?
On the 12th,
Yeah,
We'll make sure it matches the handout, that's it.
Yeah.
Good idea.
yeah, we're adding the special ed vote, that's what you're referring to?
we didn't do this one because there was question.
Oh, you're talking about the
My notes
SMU.
do match the final.
SMU?
And she's got my notes, so I can't tell you.
We were just trying to give them more money, but that's okay. We'll give them the right
The
amount.
full budget, full budget.
All right, we'll
we did
deal
not
with
do.
it tomorrow night.
Good decision.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. There you go, Michael. Michael is the second on the motion to adjourn. I'm assuming that this,
Can I
Wait,
make sure I
yes.
have Tom Chase and Grace during the motion in a second? Or did,
yes, that is for,
to adjourn?
no,
No, no.
Grace?
I just did it and Michael seconded.
The real motion.
The real motion.
we're trying.
He was muttering
Susan,
earlier,
did it
and I
work?
said second. There was a mutter and a second.
We'll figure it out.
December 1st, so.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.